So to set up, you want to make some custom variables for your custom HP bar. Oh. So I'll set it to 10k for now. And you also want to do the same for the boss. So I have it on the stage entity. Just to quickly show you guys, this is the custom HP bar. And we're using the variables over here. And for the boss, it's like the same. And you also want to make a node graph under entity node graph. For our node graph, I attached it to the player entity and give me a second, the stage entity. This is so they can listen to the different events. I also have a boss entity for the tab, I think. Yeah. It's selected on this boss. So that would be this tab. When that tab gets selected, we're going to deactivate the tab and start several timers. Each of these timers will be for a different attack. This is to better organize it. Well, this one is just for the starting cutscene. But yeah, these are all for different attacks. We're also gonna switch our current interface layout to the cutscene one. And we're gonna follow a camera for the cutscene. And then we change the music to what you want the boss theme to be. And these UI controls are just for like the boss name card. So it will be over here. So for our cutscene interface, I just added some black bars on the top and bottom. And let me just show the boss name card. This one just plays like a UI animation. So when we set the controller on, this will pop up into the screen. And we'll also switch the camera to this one. As you can see, this is the camera name. Yeah, we're following this camera entity. And that's the camera name. So you could look at what it looks like by entering the preview mode. So this is what you'll see when you set the player camera to follow this entity. So just a quick overview. For every attack, we want to make a different prefab. And for each prefab, we'll have motion devices to basically extend the attack. And we also have collision triggers to detect the character when it hits them. I'm using decorations to make the wall. Over here, there's actually 2 walls, so I have 2 decorations. And make sure your collision trigger boxes match the size of your wall. Also, don't make this too fast because I forgot what the limit is, but if it's too fast, it won't detect the player. So I'm going to show how I made this attack first for our first example. So we have a motion device as initially effective. So as soon as this prefab is created, the attack will basically be sent. We also want to nullify the null graph on arrival so that we can later destroy the entity. And I think this is the collision trigger. Let me pull up the null graph. Okay, so that one is the timer for that attack is VIII, and this is the timer sequence. Basically, it means at the 50-second mark, it will send an event, so this will be triggered, and at 52, it will also send an event, and for like every timestamp here, this event will get triggered. And so when the timer is triggered, we're checking the timer name, and if it's VIII, we want to check the timer sequence. So this is just the list ID over here. So this is a basic attack. So for every time it's triggered, we just want to create a prefab at this location. How I got this location is by placing a prefab to see what it looks like on the scene. As you can see, it's like not a 9, so I'm gonna rotate it. And we're going to just place it where you want it to spawn. Let's just say we wanted to spawn here, so then we'll take the location and make a 3D vector. Yeah, and then that'll give us the spawn. Then when this prefab enters collision trigger with the plate, I guess the player entity, we want to subtract the player's HP. We have a custom HP bar, so this is just a custom variable. I also play a 2D sound effect, so they know the player knows they got hit. And I play a UI animation. So this is just a composite node to just for playing the animation index. And this makes it easier to turn it off since we have a timer on this composite node. And when it's triggered, we just turn it off. Since like there are looping animations and like timed animations, so this makes it easier to use either you want. And we'll have the animations like here, they'll be initially turned off. This logic is basically getting all the entities on the field and then checking the prefab ID to see if the trigger entity is any of the prefabs we made. The OR operation just like checks if either of these. If it is, we also want to check that the player HP is above 0. Since there's a custom HP bar here. Well, you don't have to make it custom, but for this example, I'm just going to show the custom HP bar. And so if it's not above 0, we're going to defeat all player characters and stop all the timers for the different attacks. And we're also going to set the boss HP back to the max boss HP, since to reset the boss fight. And we enable the tab again for starting the boss fight, which was this one. We also turned the boss HP off, and the special effect we had on, which was, let me show you. This gets turned on when like the boss fight starts, so we turn it back off. And so is the boss HP. So over here, we're going to destroy all the attack prefabs on the field by doing list iteration. So first we want to put it into the local variable because this result list will be updating every time this loop runs. So the list will keep changing and we don't want that. So we just want to put it into the local variable so it iterates through the set list. And then I'll destroy every entity on it. And we do the same for basically any entity we want to destroy, like that has like a prefab. And yeah, that basically resets the boss fight. Alright, when all the players' characters are revived, we want to set the HP back to the max HP for our custom HP bar. For our next one, I'm going to show this attack. So since you see, this just has 2 wall decorations, and we also have a motion device and collision triggers. Basically set up the exact same. Just remember it has the trigger box has to be the same size as the prefab you're sending. We're going to do the same thing and place this on the scene so we can see where it actually spawns. I'm gonna rotate by 90 to align it. For this one, we want to randomize it a little. So to do that, we are going to basically put it somewhere you want it to spawn. Say over here. So we want the player to go through this gap, and we want to randomize like where exactly it spawns, like on this axis. So we're going to get the range of our boss arena, so we can see like this is what be like. 1 point it can spawn. And then this will be the other end of the limit. So this will be the max. I can see this is higher. And the other one will be the minimum. And yeah, it's on the x-axis. So let me show that in the graph. So the timer for that attack is fight 1. So as you see, we have it triggered like at the 20-second point, and then every 5 seconds after that, and then it loops back to like 0 after 45. As you can see, to get the location, we use the lower and upper number we got from like placing the prefab, and then we have our set Y and Z locations, since we don't want these to change. And the idea is the same as the first example. And then when we enter the collision trigger, we're just going to basically do the same thing with this attack. I'll just skip over that then. This one's a little different since we're going to do like a delayed attack. And it'll be this one. Yeah, the setup is the same, you just get a decoration. But since it's delayed, I want to put like a warning before like the attack is sent. And we're going to set the motion device to none, since it's at first we just want to create this entity in prefab. And then we have like a trigger box too. I just made it slightly bigger just in case, since I'm going to do the same thing and just place the prefab on the scene, rotate by 90, and get the minimum and maximum. So we see it's this point and this point. So we're going to use that in the node graph. Let's see, it's fights 5. So yeah, it's this one. So at the first timestamp, we're just going to create a prefab. And then at the second timestamp, we're going to actually activate the motion device. So this basically sends the attack. And we do the same as the last example, where we get a random floating point number with our lower and upper limits, which we got earlier from placing on the scene. The rest is the same, so I'm going to skip over and show our last example. This one is a little, I guess, it combines a few of the other examples together. But we're not gonna randomize the location this time. But this one is let me show you. So we're just gonna have a big wall. Yeah, the setup is the same, so I'll skip over. But we're also going to make a button this time, because we want this attack to be able to be sent back to the boss, basically. And basically, when the player enters collision trigger with this button, the wall will go back to the boss instead. So to do that, we need 3 of these collision 3 of these motion devices. So they go in opposite directions. But this one just goes up and down. Okay, I'll show you on the scene, since like we rotated it. So we're going to get like where it spawns. Let's say over here. We wanted to we're gonna make it spawn under the map for this example, and I'll show you what happens. I have a motion device to basically bring it back up. So what this does is like when it spawns, it will first do that. And then this one, the motion device 1, will send it towards the player like that. And motion device 3 will send it towards the boss, which does that. Okay. Yeah, we're also gonna just get like the location of the initial spawn. And we'll do the same stuff as like the previous examples. We also want to spawn this button, so let's just say we put it over here. This one is gonna come out of the ground, so since I have like a motion device, so we want to spawn it slightly under, and then so when we activate this, it'll come out of the ground. And I'll show the node graph again. So that's where we get the 3D vector for the locations for the button and the wall. So the first timestamp these are created. On the second timestamp, if nothing else happens, we're just gonna activate the first motion device, which just sends the attack towards the player. And then we're gonna destroy the button since it was not used. So, okay, so what happens when the button is pressed? So this is the logic for the button. We're going to get the checklist has this prefab ID, which is the button ID. If it does, we're going to change the preset status of the button. Give me a second. So what the preset status is, it's like this thing. 1 is pressed, 0 it's just like up. So when we're entering the collision trigger, we want it to go down, so we set it to 1. And then we basically activate the motion device number 3, which sends the attack towards the boss. And after that, we want to disable the collision trigger on the button. And we want to play a sound effect for the button, which you can just pick any from this library. So for this example, I just made it do like 2k damage to the boss. So since we're damaging the boss, we want to check the boss's HP every time it changes. So that if 1 is less than 0, so that less is equal to 0, that means the boss died. So we need like we also want to check the variable name, it's boss HP. And we're gonna stop all the timers and basically turn off like the boss HP, the boss HP bar and the effect we had on. We're also gonna destroy like the boss entity and the barrier wall we had. So that would be this wall. So the player cannot go past this area. And this is the same as like when the player dies, except like we just destroy like all the prefabs on the field. But so for this attack, I'm going to change it up a little. So instead of using the logic for this, which only takes 1k HP from the player, we're going to use this one. It's the exact same logic, except now we're going to take 5k HP, since this is like a bigger attack. For when the attack, to the end of attack logic, we're going to check the when basic motion device stops event. So like remember how we said like that every motion device to get destroyed, like when we turned on the notify node graph on our rifle for like every motion device that the basically just sends the attack. So now we're going to destroy all the entities like when the motion device stops. This is so you just don't have like a bunch of these prefabs on your field. So like if it's any of these prefabs and their motion device was activated and stopped, we just destroy them. Okay, now I'll show the HP bar. So to make a custom HP bar, you want to make a progress bar. And under style, you use a custom style. For the background asset, I just use something a little darker, so like this. And then for the progress bar assets, I use the exact same, but I give it a brighter color, so this gives some contrast. And you do the exact same for the boss HP bar. And then over here, you just link the custom variables from your player for the player HP bar. For the boss, it's the exact same thing, except you want to use the custom variable you made for your boss.